Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
The third continent that we are going to look at is North America. Now, North America is the third largest continent in the world. It covers around 1/5 of the total area or land area on Earth. Alright. Now, North America is wide as well as long. Okay, so it's wide also and it's long also. Alright, it's not only wide and not only long, it's both. Alright, so this is a map of Africa, the physical map of Africa which we just finished. So here we can see Sahara Desert, Congo Basin, Libyan Desert, Ethiopian Highlands, right, etc. So you can have a look in your book as a homework to familiarize yourself to understand the map properly. Alright, so the continent of North America runs from north to south and covers a distance of 8,000 kilometers. So it's 8,000 kilometers long from north to south, and from east to west it is 5,000 kilometer wide. Okay, now North America, the continent, lies entirely in the northern hemisphere, okay, in the northern side of equator, and it is situated between 79 degrees north to 83 degrees north latitudes and between 53 degrees west to 180 degrees west longitudes. Okay, now the continent of North America is highly industrialized, it's highly developed, and because of that reason this continent is the world's most prosperous or rich continent. Okay, so here you can see the political map of the North America, the continent of North America. So there are countries such as Canada, United States of America, Mexico, which form the continent of North America. Okay, so here as you can see it's wide as well as long. Alright, now the physical features of the continent of North America are divided into 4. So the first is the Canadian Shield, the second Appalachian Mountains or Eastern Highlands, the Central Plains is the third, and the fourth is the Western Cordilleras or the Western Mountain System. Alright, so let's look at them. The first one, the Canadian Shield. Now the Canadian Shield, this physical feature covers nearly half of the total area of the country of Canada. Okay, now this area is formed with ancient rocks which are very hard. Okay, now this area because it has suffered from erosion, continuous erosion and weathering, the rocks present here has been eroded over time as a result of the action from wind, rain, etc. Okay, so because of erosion the height of this physical feature has been reduced to less than 300 to 400 meters. So it's not so tall. Okay, it's not, the height has been reduced as a result of erosion. Now large part of this area is covered with swamps, wet areas and lakes, okay, such as the Great Bear, Winnipeg and the Great Lakes, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Alright, the northern part of the Canadian Shield, it's covered with snow and ice for most of the year. Okay, so out of 12 months, probably for 8 or 10 months, the northernmost part of the shield is covered in snow and ice. The southern parts have lowlands, okay, and it has Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River. Alright, Niagara Falls, the world famous falls, is located between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario in this shield. Okay, so St. Lawrence, which is an important river of the region, falls or drains into the Atlantic Ocean. Alright, Now this river, St. Lawrence, is the busiest waterway in North America, meaning that in this river, the ships for transport of people, transport of goods, they move or they use this river the most of compared to other rivers. So this river is, or this waterway is the most busiest waterways in the North American continent. All right. Now this region also has valuable mineral resources or valuable minerals, all right, such as gold, silver, nickel, iron, copper, platinum, radium, cobalt, and uranium. All right. Now let us look at the second physical feature, which is the Appalachian Mountains. Now Appalachian Mountains are located in the northeastern part of the continent. So these are also known as the Eastern Highlands. All right. The height of these mountains are not same. They vary from one another. Okay, meaning some of the mountains, like the ones in the southwestern part of Pennsylvania, they are 1000 meters tall, but other mountains such as Mount Washington is 1800 meters. So this shows that how the mountains here are not of same height. They are different from one another. All right. The Hudson River is a very important river for this particular region, and it flows through the Appalachian Mountains to join the Great Lakes. Okay, and that joining of the river, Hudson River, into the Great Lake is helped by a canal called the Erie Canal. All right. Now this Appalachian mountain areas is also very rich in mineral resources, and the resources which are found here are coal, copper, and lead. The third one is the central lowlands. This is the third physical feature. Now the central lowlands lie or is located between the western Cordilleras and the eastern highland. Okay, it extends or stretches to a distance which covers about 2000 kilometers. All right, and it from there it extends furthermore to 6000 kilometers from the delta of River Mackenzie in the north to the edge of the coastal plain in Texas in the southern part of the continent. Okay. Now the central and the southern parts of this area are vast lowland areas, and this is also the basin of Mississippi-Missouri River. Okay, so because it's a river basin, this is a very fertile soil. All the sand silts which are deposited by the Missouri-Mississippi River are accumulated here. So this soil, the area is very fertile. The area has very fertile soil, and hence this region is very rich in agricultural sources. Okay. The fourth feature is the Western Cordilleras. The Western Cordilleras are located in the western part of the continent. It stretches from the north to the south along the entire length of the continent, and the highest peak of this area is Mount McKinley, which is located in Alaska. Okay, the height of this mountain is 6187 meters. Okay, now most of the rivers of North America, they rise in the Western Cordilleras. This is the place from where most of the rivers originate. Now this area, also this Western Cordilleras, it consists of several parallel mountain ranges. Okay, parallel mountain ranges which do not collide with each other or join with each other, but they run parallelly. Rocky Mountain in this range of mountains is one of the most prominent mountain ranges of the continent. Other mountain ranges are Coastal Range and Sierra Nevada. Okay. Now these mountain ranges, they enclose plateaus called intermontane plateaus. Intermontane plateaus are those plateaus that are enclosed by mountains. Alright, those are called intermontane plateaus. So the intermontane plateau is the Great Basin, okay, and it is one of the largest intermontane plateau which is enclosed by the ranges of mountains such as Rocky Mountains, Sierra Nevada, etc. Let's look at South America. South America is the fourth largest continent in the world. It covers an area of 17.8 million square kilometer and it extends from 12 degree north to 55 degree south latitude and from 35 degree west to 81 degree west longitude. Okay, the equator passes through the northern part of this continent of Southern America. This is a physical map of North America. Here you can see what we just learned about, the Rocky Mountains, right? The Canadian Shield, the Great Plains, etc. Okay. Now let's get back to looking at the continent of South America. Now we said equator passes through this continent. Tropic of Cancer also passes through the continent and it passes through a place called Rio de Janeiro. Okay, the area or 2/3 of its total area of the continent is in the tropical region or falls in the tropical region, the region where it's hot and humid. Amazon is one of the major rivers of the continent, okay, and Mount Aconcagua, which is 6,960 meters high, is the highest volcanic peak in South America. Okay, now let us look at the physical features of this continent. There are four main important physical features. The first is the western coastal strip. The second is the Western Mountains. Now this here is the map or political map of the South American continent. Here you can see some of the countries, okay, Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, etc. Okay. The third physical feature is the Central Plains and the fourth is the Eastern Highlands. Okay. Now let's look at each of them in detail. The first one is the Western Coastal Strip. Now this is a narrow strip of lowland along the Pacific coast in the western part of the continent of South America. This stretches from north to south with great variations in its width. So the width of this coastal strip is not same. Sometimes it's narrow, sometimes it's wide, narrow, wide. All right. So it is not same. The second physical feature is the Western Mountains. Okay. Now the mountains and hills which form a part of Western Mountains, this form or this make a wall along the western side of the continent. Okay. It runs from Caribbean Sea in the north to the very southernmost tip of the South American continent, and this is called the Andes. All right. These mountains that run from Caribbean to the southern tip is called Andes. Now Andes has three main ranges of mountains. Two on the eastern side, okay, are very high. Now the ranges, these mountain ranges, sometimes they come closer at some points and again from there they separate. Again they come closer, separate. Okay. Now in between these mountain ranges of Andes lie high plateaus. Okay. Example of such high plateaus is Bolivia Plateau. Okay. Lake Titicaca is one of the largest lake of South America, and this lake is situated in the plateau region in between the mountain ranges. Okay. Now the lofty peaks or the mountains belonging to this range is covered with snow throughout the year. Alright, Mount Aconcagua is the highest peak of the Andes, and the height of this peak is 7,021 meters. Alright, Cotopaxi in Ecuador, a country called Ecuador, it has the highest, the Cotopaxi is the highest active volcano in the world. Alright, and this is also in the continent of South America along the western mountains. So here in this physical map of South America, you can see the Andes, right, along this strip of land or strip of hills and mountain ranges which run from North Caribbean Sea in the north to the southernmost tip of the continent. Okay, you also see so you can take a look at this map to get an understanding of the physical features of the continent. Now let's look at the third physical feature, which is the central plains. Now the central plains, they lie between the Andes in the west and the highlands in the east, the eastern highlands. Now these plains are basins of some of the most important rivers. They are Orinoco, the Amazon, and the La Plata rivers. Okay. Now among these rivers, Amazon is one of the most important rivers, and it is also the largest river in the world. Okay. Now this river, it originates or rises in the Andes, the mountain ranges that we just talked about, and it flows through the entire country of Brazil and drains finally into the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, the distance that it covers from the place where it originates to the place where it drains its water, that distance is 6,280 kilometers. Okay, the fourth physical feature is the Eastern Highlands. Now, Guyana and the Brazilian highlands along the eastern coast form the Eastern Highlands. Okay, this is separated. The separation is the Amazon River Basin. So there's Amazon River Basin which separates the Eastern Highlands. Okay, the Angel Falls, which is in the river called Carmi, this falls is the highest waterfall in the world, the Angel Falls. Okay, this is located in the southeastern part of the country called Venezuela. Alright,